Texas, it is called the Clear Alert, C-L-E-A-R. Currently in the state, we have several alerts, which many people are probably aware of. There's an alert for endangered children, and that is known as the Amber Alert. We have an adult for those who are over 65 who are endangered. That is a Silver Alert. We also have alerts for peace officers and alerts for those who are mentally infirmed. However, there is a gap in our system. So anyone between the age of 18 and 65 who's not a peace officer or mentally infirmed does not have currently an alert that can be placed should they be in imminent danger of bodily injury or death, or if they have been involuntarily taken by abduction or kidnapping. So with the passage of House Bill 1769 and its signature earlier this summer by the governor, we have filled that gap with what will be known as of September 1st as the Clear Alert. And CLEAR stands for Coordinated Law Enforcement Adult Rescue. However, it also has a more deep symbolic meaning. C stands for Kaylee Mendati, who is Allison Steele's daughter, who was abducted and ultimately murdered. The L is Delisa Kelly. E is Aaron Castro. A is Ashanti Billy. And the R is for all of the rest of those Texans who we have lost, whose lives might possibly have been saved had this alert been in place at the time of their abduction. It has really been an honor to work on this, and it's been a blessing to get to know Ms. Steele in particular. She is a true hero and someone that you're going to have an opportunity to hear for. She's a lady that has, in the midst of immense personal tragedy and loss, stepped forward and made it her mission to make the state a safer and better place. And it's largely because of her championing this effort that we are here today and able to announce that we have accomplished this mission and that there are no longer any gaps in our alert system in the state of Texas. I think it's also important to know what happens when an alert is issued. Many are familiar with the road signs that you may see that TxDOT offers that are able to put out information so that the public can then become a part of the team that can reach out to identify these individuals who have been abducted. However, it also goes through other channels, through all law enforcement. It goes to the Independent Bankers Association so that bank staff are alert should they see a suspicious vehicle or individual coming through a drive-through or into the bank. It also is put out by the Lottery Commission. So at service stations where there are lottery terminals, this alert is also broadcast. So it's a very extensive system. In addition to that, the National Weather Service will also issue alerts through cell phone. The alert is then ended when the individual is found or at a time set by DPS. And again, this will be effective September 1st. And I'd like to turn it over to Director McCraw so that he may share a few words from DPS.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bonham. On behalf of the over 2,600 law enforcement agencies and over 79,000 peace officers in Texas, I want to thank you, the state legislature, and the governor, and certainly, you, Allison, and your husband has been a clear inspiration for providing this unique capability that we hadn't had before. I realize that, leadership is important, and in getting this done, it was vital from a law enforcement standpoint because we did talk, the doctor did talk about that gap, and we don't want to miss anybody between it. And much has changed since 2002 when we did have the Amber Alert legislation. We've now, as you pointed out, many different ones, including a camo legislation for this time for recognizing our military heroes that suffer post-traumatic stress disorder. So we have all these alerts, but now we've got new capabilities because of technology. And now you've allowed us to enlist the millions of Texans through smartphones, through lottery, through many different capabilities to be able to help us to find that child, to find that adult, to find that senior before something tragically happens to them. And I can tell you they have been successful over the years. I mean, we recognize, I think it's important to note that we sometimes hear about these alerts, we just never know what happens at the end of it. But since 2002, there's been, 207 children that have been rescued, and they found alive during that time. Actually, 1,207 children, and there's been, in Silver Alerts, there's been 897 people, 15 on blue alerts. There's been suspects found, 25 endangered, and all these lives matter. And so we're looking forward to another category when no doubt we'll see other lives rescued over the next several months in that regard. The Texas Joint Crime Information Center, which serves as the Texas Fusion Center, will now be responsible for all alerts, including CLEAR. It's going to be staffed with intelligence professionals around the clock to ensure that we get as much information as we can, vet it, and send it out as quickly as we can. With that, I want to conclude with, again, thanking Dr. Bonin, thanking the Senate as well, and the Governor for this unique capability on behalf of the law enforcement agencies. And Allison, you and your husband, God bless you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Colonel.
Thank you.
And I also have to mention that Senator Larry Taylor was just absolutely a huge champion and just a wonderful legislator. My senator, Allison Steele's senator, and we couldn't have accomplished this without his assistance as well. But this all began about a year or more ago when Allison and her husband met with my wife and I at a coffee shop. And she shared with us the tragic story of what she had been through with her daughter. And this was her idea. And she said, I think that in not every case, but in many cases, this could make a difference. And would you help? Would you take the initiative? And as my representative, would you see that you can, if you can at all possibly, change the law so that another family doesn't have to go through this? And by golly, she's done that. She came through, has been just an amazing champion, just one of the best advocates I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And now I'm going to give you an opportunity to hear from her.
My gosh, I don't know if I can live up to all of that, but I would like to thank Dr. Bonin, the staffers, Senator Taylor, and his staffers as well, and also the nonprofit coalition that we were able to put together on this initiative. Some of you, if you follow social media, Twitter, Facebook, I do have a page, and I wanted to give just a little more background on Dr. Bonin read the names of some of the victims, some of them, there are more, who were the inspiration behind this alert. The magic happened on the naming at the DPS level, however, and the way that came about in itself is a very special story because I don't know how many of you are familiar with the legislature, but it's a really crazy time around here with a lot of things happening and thousands of bills. And when I was petitioning and canvassing legislators at the Senate and the House level, normally we produce what's called a one-pager, and you can see that on social media, what I produced. And these names were actually in this order on that one-pager, presented just like this. And the word clear was essentially spelled out, and none of us here at the Capitol saw it. It took DPS to actually look more deeply and see what we were so close to our own work product and so caught up in the task of getting this passed that it was staring us in the face the whole time through the whole session, and we never saw it. It took DPS to do that, and we were just blown away. DPS knocked this name out of the park and took our work, built on it, and achieved what we could not have done by ourselves, and so we're very grateful for that. And we do plan to have a second presentation. For clarity, we wanted to introduce the alert today. We are planning to do a second presentation to honor those victims so that we can help to teach the public how to recognize and tell the difference between those cases where an adult's disappearance may be a voluntary situation versus involuntary. With children, it's a lot easier to tell. With adults, it's a little trickier. There are privacy issues, and it can be difficult. And so we will be honoring those victims in the second presentation and hopefully helping to educate the public on how this thing is going to go down and function for Texas. So thank you again, and I guess we'll take questions.
All right. Well, look, I would just close by saying this. If you see a clear alert, just now know that as a member of the public, you have an opportunity to make potentially a life-saving difference for an individual and for their family. And statistically, it's more likely going to be a young adult woman who is in immediate danger. So file that away. It's just like an amber alert or a silver alert or a blue alert. It's just a different person that is in danger, but their life is in danger. And so if you see something, then please call 911, call DPS, and speak up, because it could be a life-saving moment when you do that. Thank you.